All right, everyone, for our next session here at Launch Week 10, I am pleased to be joined by Mark Tervena of tvONE. First of all, Mark, how are you?
I am really good. I'm looking forward. We've been working really hard on releasing Calico Pro, and the good news is I've got a holiday booked for 30 days time. So I'm building up to that. But no, doing really well. Thanks for asking.
That's awesome. Yeah, so we're talking about the Calico Pro, which we talked about. I first saw probably at ISC 2022, but this is officially shipping now. This is officially launched. So that's exciting. First of all, congratulations.
Yeah, and it's been a huge effort by the whole team. So we're an FPGA kind of based outfit, and it's a real struggle to fit all the code on. So that's kind of part of the delay. Also part of it. I remember last time I was talking to Gary. We don't remember it, but the COVID times, we spent all our R&D effort redesigning chip for new chips as they became
Mhm.
available. But we're here though, and it's like super exciting. I've been working to this for the last 2 years. So it's
Yeah,
just
like
brilliant.
this huge thing that you've been like working toward has finally come to fruition. It must feel pretty good.
And the first one is out in the wild. I can't tell you where it is,
That's okay.
but it's like a big kind of US educational establishment, and hopefully within a day or two you'll see the press release. We're super excited.
That's awesome. So, obviously this is for dvLED, and so answer me this, what type of dvLED applications is Calico Pro used for? What are the market trends here?
Yeah, so we've been seeing for a long time that dvLED has been growing, and
Mhm.
it's kind of got to the point now. It's kind of at the right price point. You can actually move away from displays and go to dvLED. It's interesting though. It's interesting because we're still seeing displays. So for things like if you follow like the major broadcast websites in North America, um, they do a lot with displays. So they're doing like 100-inch displays. So this does all of it. So this just doesn't do dvLED. It does edge blend projection and displays, so we can account for the bezels and stuff. But predominantly now we're seeing LED, and it's
Mhm.
because it's kind of got to a price point where you can make that decision. So that's the first thing that we're seeing. Um, some of these solutions are getting really complex though, and that's kind of where we see this kind of filling in behind. I'm talking stuff like like a live event where you've got kind of lots, three or four LED screens, and you're trying to put windowing on it. I'm talking about control rooms where you might be getting in. I hope it's the right word, multiplex cameras. Like a grid of cameras. What do you do with it? With Calico, what you can do is you can cut that part, put it everywhere. Also, seeing similar things for education, where they want to take web assets, put it on a wall. Broadcast has always been strong for us. That
Mhm.
continues to be as well. And part of that, this is a low latency box, so it's like one frame from end to end. I think that's physics. It has to be. And I won't. I'm itching not to turn this, but if I did turn it around, it does turn. It has got like a gen lock connector on the back, but we call it frame lock. So for broadcast applications, we can do that. So yeah, no, the industry is really interesting at the minute, and this is interesting at Infocom. The biggest sort of group of clients we had visitors was LED manufacturers,
Mhm.
and every LED manufacturer
Yeah.
came and saw us and go, "Hey, kind of what are you doing?" And kind of a bit later, I think we've got a clip of what we did at Infocom, and that will kind of hopefully people on this session will kind of start thinking about, "Hey, is that possible?" And then this is where Calico fits in, of course.
Very cool. So, how would you describe I mean, you talked about the launch being really exciting because it's this thing that you've been working toward for so long and now it's finally out and shipping. So, second of all, like how's that going?
So it's going. The launch is going really well. I mean, the good thing with having all that time is we're able to build up excitement to it. So that's kind of cool. And
Right.
it's like it's out in the wild. It's been to Integrate in Australia. It's just been to Infocom India. And this wasn't with a TV1 minder. I just imagine a TV1 minder now. But this was out. We sent the unit out to our partners, and they got it up and running. At the moment in Scandinavia, it's been at the show, so it's out there now and it's being
Yeah.
used. So it is kind of super exciting. And some of the things that make it exciting is the power. So, like if when you talk about video process, you talk about how many inputs and outputs and how many layers and all that sort of stuff.
Right.
essentially it's got hundreds of asset layers. So that could be like a video layer. It could be a label. It could be a keyed logo. It could be a transition. It could be a key layer. And we can literally do hundreds of that. So we've got more of that than you'll ever need. And it just takes that problem away. Also, in the core of this, it's processing everything. It depends what you've got the canvas set to, but it's processing 4K, 4K raster at 444 color space. So whatever you put into it, and it's kind of the tradition of TV1, we kind of up down convert. So if you put in 720p, our scaling engine on the FPGA would scale that up to 4K. The quality is exquisite as well. And like I said already, the latency is unnoticeable. It's one frame, which is like less than a blink of an eye, isn't it?
Yeah.
So on top of that, we've kind of, when we will talk about cropping, we'll talk about output mapping in a minute. We've also added a labeling engine, which is something we've always wanted. So we've got a really interesting labeling engine that you can either type free text in, or you can link it to a source so it changes, or you can have image still labels, and you can also have video source labels as well. And then when you imagine, like 200 plus layers of that, what you can do with it, and all of our outputs are completely free, in terms of what they are. So, some manufacturers that have, this is our multi-viewer output, this is our output for the preview program. We don't have that. All of our outputs, you configure exactly as you want them. So it kind of gives you complete design freedom. That's one of the things I'm trying to, in this session, trying to get across
Yeah.
is this Calico. It will find as many uses as the number of people who want to use it. And that's what's super exciting, especially for me when I get, customer queries and they come to me, hey, Mark, can you do this? And I have to scratch my brain and we work out a way of doing it, because the tool set is so rich that we could, everything we've had so far, we've been able to do. And like I said, LED manufacturers are there going, this is interesting, because for them, it allows them potentially to use less LED processor boxes and do more expansive LED. And, I know you've been on your travels recently, and if you saw like video installations when you're out, you don't want to see a 2x2 wall or 3x3 wall anymore. You want to see something that's really exquisite
Mm-hmm.
and really, really kind of visually attractive, and that's what this enables you to do.
Yeah. So you talked about input cropping really briefly. So I'm going to ask you about that now. So at InfoComm, you were kind of doing a demo showing how you used input cropping of composite sources to create this expansive content. Why is that cool? Why does that matter?
Yeah, it is really cool. And there's a thing that we talk about in media server land. So, TV1, one of our brands is Green Hippo, and we talk about the production arts, which is from
Mm-hmm.
creation through to display, and that we're trying to attract further back down that production arch to the designer. What we did at InfoComm is I drew out for our amazing designer the wall, which was kind of a mixture of like 21 by 9 kind of area, 2 pillars, two ribbons, and then I think we had a square panel as well. So this is together. This is 4K in terms of pixels. Can you visualize that content for me? So he drew in the space, create the content on top of it, and then there's some sort of Adobe wizardry. Don't ask me how to do it, but he turned that into a single 4K raster with all that content mapped within the 4K raster. And what we did then is we manually cut it apart. So in PowerPoint, you have the cropping tool. I've got one of these on here,
Yeah.
and within the next release, we'll have the ability to actually plot in a map. So you'll be able to do something akin to like a spreadsheet, plot in the pixels and just push go. And why that is really cool. So imagine if you had your own exhibition center. I can imagine what it'd be like to have screens everywhere, wouldn't it? And
Mm-hmm.
but the screens are always going to be in the same place, aren't they? So and you want to go to the person who's coming in to hire that space, and you say, provide me my content like this. Here's the map. They give that to their content designers, create the map. They can do all their pre-visualization, all of that stuff, and then give you it. And you just like pull down the map from your list, poof, and it's up there. The second reason I think it's cool is imagine content's expensive, isn't it? So do you
Mm-hmm.
imagine if you were trying to do something like with your signage in your lobby, and you wanted to take bits off your website. People spend a fortune on the content of their websites, but they won't spend the money like on regular content often.
Right.
So you can take parts of that and crop it apart and then reposition it on that wall. Maybe, this thing's got a media store, so you could have a media, corporate style background. You could pop that, the content on top, then you could add labels on top of that, and then maybe add a keyed logo over the top to brand it. And suddenly you've got a really attractive piece of content that's really quick and easy to put up. So input cropping sounds like a very kind of simple thing to talk about,
Yeah.
but as soon as we start playing it, that's why Infocom's like a playground for us.
Yeah.
What could we do? And we came up with this idea and then followed it through the whole production arch, really, from the in-house creatives to the engineers at the other end delivering it on site. And I'll tell you something about that implementation. So what you can't see unless you were there, they're actually two different pixel pitches which we managed across. That's cool. But and it was just really simple to do. We had the engineers in from the LED company in at midnight. They go, this is going to take us hours, and we literally input our spreadsheet, and it just went.
Did it in seconds.
So quick, reduced hardware, easier to do, less, and this goes all the way down to the green story as well, doesn't it? You're going to put less stuff in landfill at the end. I'm really passionate about the green story, so you have to tell me when to stop. This is really high quality manufacture. We make it in the UK. We do sub assembly in North America. It's high quality. We've been lead free for ages, and I'm really passionate about this because you see racks and racks of boring black boxes, and they've got a short lifetime. I've turned the camera around, but my first rack I ever built here is just behind here, and
cool.
The gear is 12 years old, still works.
Nice.
Still works. I've occasionally upgraded it, put a new module in, so you don't have to, and it's important for our future and our kids' future that we have a sustainable model in AV for sure.
Yeah. So the other thing you briefly touched on was that the Calico Pro manages outputs for dvLED really efficiently. So why is that important, particularly to system integrators?
Yeah, and it's kind of a concept to get your head around, and I think if you give me a chance, I'll tell you how to reach out to us to sign up for a demo, because once you see it, you'll get it. The concept's really interesting. So we essentially package up the outputs. So what I do is I take a 4K raster of pixels, and then I chop it into sections. Do you remember that game as a kid at Christmas you used to get with the tiles used to move around?
Yes.
You have that in the States. Brilliant. So it's a bit like that. So you don't have to be like have the brain the size of a planet. You just literally in this tool type in all your resolutions of your LEDs, and then you move the tiles around until they fit within the raster. And at the moment, this goes up to 4K 60. It's HDMI 2.0 to start with. We are working on a 2.1 module for 8K. That is coming. So at the moment, within that 4K raster, and then once you've got that in Calico Studio, which is our design software, what it does is it gives you those bits. We then actually manipulate it as bits. So these are quarters of a wall. And you might not be able to see, but down here, this is the output. So the bottom where it says output mapper, that's a single output out of the unit. And because I've mapped it in the right place in here, it's all correct. This is where I was saying a moment ago, the LED manufacturers are like, wow, that saves me time. That's easy to do. So essentially, I've done 3 LED walls worth of content with one sender box, and it's visually correct. And I can put material over one screen, put it over, pull them across as well. So back to the visual attractiveness as well. So it saves much of the time. It saves cabling complexity. And every time we add something in the system, you have to add a control node to it, and it there's all this hidden cost. So we take all that away. And what's more, the studio, the software Calico Studio, it's on our website, tvone.com. Just go to the Calico Pro page. You can download it, design your own walls, and pre-visualize them to your customers. So we've got an offline mode on this, and it's got content in there you can cut up and you can work with. So you can pre-visualize it early and get your clients excited, and do something visually exciting. Don't just do like I say, the old days display was a 3x3. Don't just do boring chunks. Don't waste pixels. If you haven't got a full raster, a lot of LED processors are effectively throwing away pixels. Don't do that. Make the most of every pixel, make it visually attractive, make people want to stand there and go, wow. I know when I go out with my kids, most stuff that they get bored with. And if I take them somewhere exciting, I'm trying to think. I went to Singapore with them years ago. There's a huge wall up the side of a building they're excited about, and then in the airport there's an interactive facility, and they stood there and watched it because it was visually attractive. It was beyond the norm, and that's what we're powering with Calico Pro.
Yeah.
It's going to be super exciting.
Yeah, I mean, there's kind of no excuse to be boring with the content that you're putting out anymore, huh?
Yeah, exactly.
All right, Mark. So my last question for you, you already kind of answered it, but what's the best way for people to reach out to you? What's the best way for people to get a demo?
Yeah, so just go to our website, tvone.com, and there's bars along the top. So first one go to is support, download Calico Studio. It's I could now I could give you 5 minutes tuition, you'd be up and using it. So that's the first thing. And then there's also on the top bar, there's a couple of places you can get help. There's a tool for you to give us what you want out of a video wall, and one of our experts will design the wall for you and come back to you. You can also request a demo as well. This room's multifunction, so I've in-person training, but it's also set up as a remote demo room. So all of my sales colleagues are able to do remote demos for you, or we can bring a unit out to you. So all of my colleagues now have got their demo units. Could you imagine how excited they're all to get the box arrived in by DHL or whatever it is? And so they're out there now actively doing demos as well. So just please reach out to us. If there's anything I talked about today sounds that sounds interesting, I'd like to know more, just reach out to us. Bottom line, my name's fairly unusual. It's Trevino. Just look me on LinkedIn. Just send me a message. I'm personally happy to be contacted anyway. That's all. But this has been fun though.
Yeah, this has been awesome. It's been good catching up with you, Mark.
Yeah, excellent. And I guess I don't know what you're up to now, but we're counting down to ISE next year. So
Yeah,
yeah,
us
so
too.
that's overbooked already, isn't it? I've heard it's 30% bigger than last year.
Yep. And I'm
So
looking forward to seeing you, and I'm looking forward to seeing the Calico Pro there.
yeah, the demo is going to be amazing. I
I
won't tell you
can't.
what it's going to be, but it's going to be like back to. Do you remember the windmill days we did?
So,
Probably not. But look up the windmill on TV1 windmill on
okay.
YouTube. It's going to be something akin to that. It's going to be mind blowing.
Okay.
So yeah, it's
All
been
right.
a
I'm so
thanks for
excited.
your time today.
That's awesome. All right. Well, thank you so much, Mark. Appreciate you joining me today.